This is the Ezra podcast, and we're going to be talking about UFC 277 today. Juliana Pena defending her belt against Amanda Nunes in a spot that we probably never imagined we'd be in, where Juliana Pena would be defending her belt against Amanda Nunes. There's probably even some debate going into that fight whether, or even at some time before that fight, there where Pena would ever fight for a belt. But Amanda Nunes is just so dominant in women's fighting that it gets to the point like the same thing as for Israel Adesanya, where they just kind of have to start digging deeper and deeper in the rankings to find a new credible opponent for her, right? And they got Pena, and Pena pulls off the massive upset to win the title. So this is how we got to this point where we're going to have a rematch versus Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. Now, when I break down this fight, and I watched the first one really because that's what I did to break down this fight. I just watched the first one because me going back to watching Amanda Nunes on her previous 5 fights, it's not going to be as effective. And the reason for why it won't be as effective is because Amanda Nunes is probably on a steep decline in her career. She is probably on the downside of her career, and every performance could look drastically different from this point on, and even from like the last 3 fights. So to say, oh, Amanda Nunes did this in this fight, and Amanda Nunes did this in this fight, and then say she's going to do she's going to do that exact same performance here. It's not the way to look at it at the point of where she is in her career. Now, Juliana Pena, the stuff she did in the first fight, can she repeat that and have success? If we're being honest, and I have to be honest, that's why I break down these fights, she would need Amanda Nunes to assist her again like she did in the first fight. It wasn't all Pena on why she won. It was Amanda Nunes too. Amanda Nunes agreeing to trade shot for shot and exchanging what Pena wanted to exchange. Amanda Nunes landing an effective leg kick to start off the fight and then never going back to it. Amanda Nunes on throwing the same shots over and over again and never messing with the timing. If she does that, then yes, Pena can have success. But if Amanda Nunes decides to actually put some thought into this fight, actually put some strategy into this fight, listen to her coaches in this fight, honestly, even on the downside of her career, she should win this fight pretty easily. I think the keys are her going and placing that leg kick right to Pena's lead leg, because Pena is looking to sprint in, because Pena is not a great striker. Okay, she isn't. And what she's using is the most basic of basics. She's using one power step in for 1-2. Now her jab is all right when it gets going, right? And you're not putting any movement and you're just allowing her to pick her space and allowing her to pick her timing, then yes, it could be good. But if you're Amanda Nunes and you kick her front leg and don't allow her to jab step the whole damn time and let her sprint in, you're going to throw off her whole rhythm and you will destroy her offense, because once that front leg goes, it loses all her explosion into her 1-2. Now, remember, Pena, to me, is a better grappler than she is a striker, and that's where her game really is. If you remember the first fight, she actually gets out grappled pretty badly by Amanda Nunes in the first fight. And in the first round, Amanda Nunes is kind of having her way with her. Now she does look to land to get a Kimura at one point, but Amanda Nunes is kind of like she's in a spot where it could be risky. She puts her leg to block it, but at the end of the round, she gets out of it and she just ends up on top. In the second round, it all falls apart. Amanda Nunes just kind of starts, falling into Pena's game. And there's a thing, and there's a thing that you see a lot of amateur fights. If you go to a lot of amateur boxing fights, you will see guys they'll fight at each other's timing, right? So like it's just a lot of reaction. Like a lot of low level amateur guys are just reacting to what the other guy's doing. They're not being patient or applying their rhythm or applying their timing. They're just kind of reacting. And it kind of just ends up in like a 50-50. They end up in both in 50-50 spots. It's kind of just like who's faster or who punch straighter to it's going to get to a spot. That's what Amanda Nunes did with Pena. She was just reacting. Like every time Pena did something, she was like, "Oh, okay, I have to react." Instead of like saying, "Oh no, let her do something. Let me back away. Let me reset, and let me get to the spot where I'm going to have success, or let me attack when I want to attack." No. She just got into the mind frame where it's like I have to react because she's reacting, and when she punches, I have to punch, and then she just ends up in 50-50 exchanges when she doesn't need to be. So with the leg kick could slow down Pena from just running in, or marching in, and then she can choose when she wants to come forward, or choose when she's going to respond, or choose when she's going to counter, but not just react when Pena goes. So I'm going to go right. I'm going to go at the same time. We're just going to battle at the same time. Okay, that eliminates the skill and your technique, and eliminates all these advantages that she has and all these abilities that she has. You turn amateurish. You fought amateurish in that fight. Also, she gets hurt and she never holds. She just arrogantly says, "No, I'm going to keep swinging with you. I'm going to keep going until one of us breaks, and I think you're going to break." And that's word for Amanda Nunes. But I think when she was younger and more sharp and more in her prime, but the Amanda Nunes now, I think she has to fight a little bit smarter. I also don't think she was in the best shape for this fight, but Pena was tired too at that point, honestly. Even when Pena gets a stoppage in the submission, where I think kind of Nunes, once it wrapped up, I don't know why it must have wrapped up pretty tight, but it was on the chin. She tapped out kind of quick. Is what it is at that point. But I thought Pena looked pretty tired too. Her mouth was wide open. At one point, DC said the man Nunes' mouth's wide open. If you look at Pena, her mouth's wide open too. She even gets her mouthpiece knocked out. I'm going to pick Amanda Nunes in this rematch. I don't think this fight's going to be competitive. I don't. Now, I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong, and maybe a Nunes is shot beyond belief. But I did see there was success she could be had. I didn't see like, oh, the speed was too much, or she looked like she, like she just fell off. I didn't really see that. I seen diminishment, but I seen enough there where I feel confident to pick her. I think the leg kick's going to be very important. I don't think she's going to react when Pena reacts. I think she's going to be able to more pick her spots, and I'm going to take Amanda Nunes to get a stoppage in this fight. And I'm going to take that in the second round. So she's going to avenge her loss, and where she had a second round stoppage, and she's going to get the stoppage in this fight. And I'm telling you, it's going to be the leg kick. She's going to take Pena's leg out, and she's going to pick her spots. And maybe her shots aren't going to be as creative because maybe Amanda Nunes doesn't really have the creativity in her shots, but at least the timing will be a little bit more complicated than what it was before. And I don't believe she's going to react this time. And I don't think Pena's going to have a lot of success in the stand-up. And I know what the ground looks like. And I felt that was kind of Amanda Nunes, one-way trap for Amanda Nunes as well. I'm talking about this fight, and I didn't put the card on. And I can't have that. I need the card up. Or not the card, I'm sorry, the poster. I need the poster up. I'm not a big fan of this poster, by the way. Okay, in the co-main event, we have Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara-France. Now, Kai Kara-France is a guy, and this is a rematch. And after this fight, both guys vastly improve, right? Both guys do. And Brandon Moreno goes on to win the title, and this is for the interim title due to Figueiredo's injury. And this Kai Kara-France is a guy that I've been picking against for a while now. I just have not picked him to win a fight. And I did not think he was going to beat Askarov. I actually thought Askarov would finish this year the champion. That was one of my picks. But Kai Kara-France keeps improving, and he keeps showing up and getting better when the level of competition gets better. And he puts Garbrandt to sleep. He beats Kai Kara-France fairly, and I thought clearly. And his skill looks better, and his performances look better, and he looks more composed. And then I went back and looked at the fight versus him and Moreno, and he's definitely a better fighter from what he was then. And Brandon Moreno's a better fighter from what he is there. But there was something in that fight that I could still take that's going to lead me to picking Moreno in this fight. And it was just the fact that Moreno could outwork Kai Kara-France. And Moreno could hit Kai Kara-France with shots that maybe they weren't pretty, right? But he didn't have to think about his shots. and they didn't have to be perfect, and he could just react, and he could just attack, and he wasn't in his own head. And in the second and third round, that's what happens. Kaikar France, like when they're picking their spots and they're both thinking, and it's a chess match, he's winning the fight. No, it's not that Moreno's completely out of it. He's having moments too, but when Moreno says, "No, I'm just going to react now, and I'm going to force you to react," he's getting the better of it, and he's outworking Kaikar France. And like I said, both of these guys have improved. But even with the improvements of Kaikar France or the improvements of Moreno, it's still going to go back to what happened in their first fight. And it's that the Moreno feels more natural what he's doing. And in his mentality to attack, he doesn't have there's guys that get the thought process of like, I'm not in the right spot. I don't usually work off of this punch. I don't counter off of when someone punches that. I don't usually counter like this. And they get in their own head, and they're thinking while they're in there. And that's not a bad thing. You want to be thinking when you're in there, but sometimes it causes delays on when you're reacting. Right? Sometimes you need everything to be perfect for you to do something. I remember Max Kellerman kind of explained this in a Carl Froch fight, where it was like, and maybe it was, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. Was it Carl Froch he was talking about, or I think it was Carl Froch versus Andre Ward, and he was talking about Carl Froch needing everything to be perfect for him to land his shot, for him to be willing to take that chance. I think that's what's going to happen with Kaikar France in this fight. He's going to want things to be perfect, and he might have success early in it doing that. And remember, this is a 5-round fight. It's an interim title fight. He might have success early doing that, where they're both figuring each other out, and he's able to place his shots and set traps on that. But it's going to be a point where Moreno's just going to say, "Well, I'm just going to get to work. I gotta get to work. Only one win this fight is I'm gonna get to work." And I think that he will be able to start the exchange and finish the exchanges with him landing. And I believe that's his key to victory. Now, I don't think that Moreno's gonna be able to take down Kaikar France. He was very good against Askarov, not getting taken down. So I think it's a stand-up fight. I think Moreno's lead left hand is gonna be very effective in this fight. And his counter left hook, his jab, all that is going to be, to me, extremely effective in this fight. And you can see if Kaikar France can keep up with the pace, or if he can do something to slow down Moreno, maybe land a big shot to slow down Moreno. I think this is a very good fight, very interesting fight, and very crazy, very good point of their careers for them to have this rematch. I'm not sure that maybe it looks the same as a rematch, but I think that the reason why Moreno won the first one will be the same reason why he wins this one and becomes interim champion and waits for Figueiredo to come back off of injury so they can fight for a fourth time. We have Derek Lewis versus Pavlovich. I probably said that like in a Sergey Pavlovich. I probably said that way too many parts. It's probably way smoother when someone else says it. But when I look at this fight and I look at Sergey, he's very confident in what he's doing. He's very loose in what he's doing. He's throwing with a lot of power. He's got good spacing. And I see a guy like Derek Lewis, who is a guy that, like everybody knows, is not technical. He's not really putting a lot of thought on what he does in there. He's just kind of looking to land the big shot. He's more athletic than you think. He has more speed than you think. And, it was always kind of like he can surprise you. And once you get in there and you feel his power, it's a real deal. But what you notice in the Tai Tuivasa fight or the Gane fight is that he has a give now. And the give is mostly mental. It really is. It's a mental thing. Before, when he was saying, I'm sure maybe he wasn't getting the paydays that he is now, or wasn't getting the opportunity, or maybe he just was tired of losing fights and tired of coming up short. That in his head now he has give. And I think a guy like Pavlovich, who maybe a few years ago would have a hell of a time against Derek Lewis and maybe even get knocked out when his first big step up. This time, I think Derek Lewis, as soon as he really starts feeling the power, I think just kind of gives in. I think he's at the point where he's in the give in mode of his career. And it's going to be the guy that with the most solid chin, was all power, good chin, now you're going to start seeing him just take a bunch of stoppage losses. And I really believe it's mental. I'm going to take Pavlich in this fight by stoppage. I'm taking that in the second round. We have Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith. Now, Anthony Smith is on a 3-fight win streak. I don't think it's against the best competition. I think Anthony Smith is the kind of guy where he's going to lose all his tough fights, the fights with top 5 guys, with contenders, with champions. He's going to lose those ones. And then he's skilled enough to beat all the mid-level guys, the guys that are trying to enter the rankings, the guys that are trying to enter their name in the title picture, but don't have that skill. He's able to beat all those guys. He's a notch above those guys. He's a gatekeeper. He really is a gatekeeper at this point. And Ankalaev is a guy that has shown nothing but steady, high-level fighting in his fights. Now, maybe his performances have not been to the most impressive when he got his opportunity to be a main event or all that, but he is still steadily winning and he is steadily effective in all these fights. I think he's going to be very effective in this fight. I think Anthony Smith's a perfect style for him to look very good. Anthony Smith can get wild. He can get hit. And a guy like Ankalaev is really going to be able to just see everything he's doing. He has very good awareness in the cage. He's able to place his shots. He doesn't mind a boring fight, but he could light you up and put an exciting finish to it. I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of this fight, especially if it's Ankalaev, gets a title shot. This is, I believe, number 4 and 5 fighting each other. They can perfect for the winner to just jump everyone else, especially because Teixeira, Jan winning his fight, but was just champion, won off the leg injury. I wouldn't be surprised if Ankalaev looks impressive here, gets a stoppage against Anthony Smith, which I'm picking him to do. I'm going to say second round, maybe even third round. We're a little bit late with stoppage, but I think he does eventually put too much on Smith. This catapults him to a title shot. That would not surprise me. And I think that'd be a very good fight, honestly. Him versus, I don't know why it's blanking in my mind right now. I've got to look it up because it's in my head. See here, champions. I'm sorry. Yeah, Yuri. Him versus Yuri is a very good fight. I think that Yuri would actually have a lot of trouble in that fight because Ankalaev is the kind of guy that's not going to just exchange to exchange. He's going to pick his spots. He's going to look to control the distance and look to walk you into stuff and then attack when he feels it's the 100% correct time to attack. And Yuri kind of needs a guy to open up with him. He wants to exchange with you. He wants to ride your punches and land something big on the inside. That's kind of his game. I think he would be a lot of trouble against a guy like Ankalaev. And the opening bout could be the number 1 contender to the light heavyweight title. I think that's an excellent fight. I think it's a okay night, for a pay-per-view. It's an okay card. Definitely, the UFC definitely, has been more putting on a good main event and kind of a so-so card. This is an okay card. I'm excited for it. I'm glad to be doing another MMA podcast. I'm glad to be doing MMA podcast again. It feels good to be back. Thank you guys for listening. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to my YouTube. Leave a comment. Spotify, all that good stuff. Instagram, TikTok. I'm on it all. As Raw Boxing, as Raw Podcast. Search it. Thank you guys for listening.